Hello and welcome back to my channel. In this video, we're going to be talking about WandaVision and the series as a whole. So yeah, let's jump right into that. I will say that this is probably my favorite series that I've watched, at least recently. It's probably going to end up, if I really thought about it, it's probably going to end up in my top 10 of like my all-time favorite shows. And I'm very, very excited because I just feel like that area of like my top 10 shows are going to change drastically over the course of the next couple of years with everything that Marvel has been deciding to put out. I just think that they're going to do such a good job with like putting out high quality TV shows, and they've already proven it with WandaVision, so really, really excited for the future. Okay, so I would say that the biggest straw to me for WandaVision was the whole mystery of everything, right? Figuring out exactly what was going on, and then figuring out how they were going to bring in Wanda as a sorcerer or sorceress of some kind, because that is who she is in the comics. She is a sorceress. And even then, it was always wonky in some regard as to what exactly her powers were. Now, I I don't know, how do I express what was so great about this show? I think that it was wonderful to see a couple of key episodes in particular. The first one would have been, I think, episode 4, the one where we get Monica Rambeau's perspective of everything, figuring out exactly how she ended up in Westview and everything from the snap to this point in time, what's going on in the outside world, seeing Jimmy once more. I did love to see his character because I remember watching him in Super Ninjas. I think he was a dad in that show when I was really, really young. No idea if anyone's gonna get that reference, but I really, really loved him in that show, and he's such a funny guy. So I'm really glad that he's in the MCU in whatever capacity. So I'm really happy that we got to see that, and then also, of course, Darcy coming back because she's also a very comedic presence in the show as well. Um, and just overall, just being able to see how short a time frame this was, which to me that was kind of a signifier as to something being weird. Initially, I thought that she was actually being mind controlled at the start, early on, but that turned out not to be the case. She just didn't have any control over her abilities. And so that was a really, really good episode because it kind of painted Wanda as more of a or not villain. Sorry about that. And yeah, I just loved that episode so much because you kind of got to see other people's perspective after a couple of episodes of following Wanda and Vision around and being a little bit confused, just a tad. And yeah, so apart from that, I really, really loved the episode with Pietro, the episode where he and everyone is having like a Halloween day, basically. I'm guessing it wasn't actually Halloween. That's just my guess, but it was very, very fun to see that it was Halloween and the whole shenanigans with the boys as well, being older, getting their powers, and then Pietro basically just throwing a wrench in everything. I do think it was a little bit of a missed opportunity there because I would have loved to see it be the real Pietro and not just having it being an inappropriate joke that was not funny. Like, I don't know, maybe for children that were watching the show, it would have caused more of a laugh, but I just thought it was a disservice in a lot of ways to the Quicksilver from the X-Men universe as well as the Quicksilver from the original MCU films. So because of that, I just wasn't really a huge fan. Especially because they gave him powers and everything. It just didn't make sense that he got his powers from a necklace like that, because if Agatha was able to do something like that, she should have given herself superpowers to begin with, and she would have been more powerful and able to stand up to Wanda a little bit better. It would have been cool. If that was the case, like, she should have been able to zip around in super speed as well and just mess with Wanda before she could hit any attacks. I don't know. That's just my opinion there. I just didn't think that it made much sense. At least it would have been really, really cool to see that he's like an alternate version of Pietro from the X-Men universe, potentially, and then say that he was bound by her abilities. Somehow she was able to pull him to this dimension or this reality and take control of his mind. That would have been so much cooler, because then we would have had an actual version of Pietro, albeit not Wanda's brother, but still a version of him in existence that's actually Pietro. I don't know. I think that they should find a way to weave him back into the fold. I think that that version of Pietro was really, really cool, and it would have been nice to see some more with him. Anyway, but I did really enjoy that episode, because you got to see the edge of town along with Vision. You got to see him try and leave Westview and be almost destroyed. You got to see so many cool moments in that episode. Even like when Pietro calls Vision, says that he's dead. I thought it was really, really good. It was really, really well done. And then Agatha, this is when I knew Agatha was like, something was up, because Agatha was the only one capable of moving at the edge of town. Everyone else was frozen, but she was able to move around freely, and, well, not freely, but after Vision, released her, it seemed weird. I don't know, because she was like even talking to him when not in his control. So I don't know. That just felt odd to me. So I knew something was up with her, and then as we got later into the episodes, it kind of made sense that, like, if it's not Wanda herself, it has to be someone that we know very, very well at this point, someone who's very, very involved so far, and the only person that was like that involved was Agnes. Anyway, then we had I think it was the penultimate episode, the one right before the season's end, which is when we get the reveal that Wanda is the Scarlet Witch. Loved it. That episode, I think, was probably my favorite the entire season. It was like just so well done. That reveal, everything that went on leading up to it, it just built up to that moment of Agatha revealing herself, right? I don't remember actually if she revealed herself in that episode or the end of the previous episode. It may have been the end of the previous episode, but I could be wrong. Actually, you know what? It was the end of the previous episode. My mistake. So that reveal was really, really cool. And then it led into my favorite episode, which is when we got to see so much more moments of Wanda and Pietro's life as well. Mainly Wanda, but we got to see that childhood moment with Pietro too. And it just showed why, like, it explained why her magic manifested in the way that it did. And it also explained why she became so powerful, even though she never learned how to properly use magic. And it kind of tied together, like, I don't think it was a plot hole, but it was like they kind of retconned it so that, hey, she is super powerful, but it's not just because of the Infinity Stone, and she's a witch, but how did she get her powers from the Infinity Stone if she's just a witch, right? So they tied those two things together very, very well. It was that she was a witch, and then her powers got magnified by the Infinity Stone, and the whole prophecy that the Scarlet Witch is a being that was made and forged, right? It all tied in really, really well. They brought in the Darkhold as well, which I only really knew briefly from, I think, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I never finished Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so I don't know too much about it. I do know that it was present a little bit, it looked very different, but it was very, very cool to see a book like that, a grimoire, right, thrown into the fold here, and they're really making Scarlet Witch's character into a traditional magic user. And then the last episode, I enjoyed it. It was fun, but I would say it wasn't as interesting as the previous episode. The reason for that is just it was more of like the action sequences and stuff like that, less of the character building. And it kind of made sense for the last episode to be that. But also it just wasn't the best part of the show up until that point. So it was kind of a, I don't know. It was a very good climax, but it wasn't as interesting as what I had seen previously. I would say like the whole Ship of Theseus thing, I thought that was pretty cool. It was an interesting way to end the fight between the Visions, and it left the door open potentially to see if Vision's actually going to return later on. We have no idea because we didn't see him die that time. So if you don't see it, did it really happen? We don't know. So that's something that I'm really looking forward to. Is that Vision could still be alive. The thing is, though, like, he's not going to have any of the memories of Westview because what our Vision did was pass on or reactivate the memories that were stuck in his head. He didn't pass on any of his own memories. So that's interesting. I guess that Wanda's going to have to deal with that at some point as well, hopefully, if they didn't just do that to kill off Vision at that point, like if he just left to go die, who knows. But I do have faith that like that's not gonna be what they do. It's kind of, it would be weird, right? If they took Vision and was like gave him back his memories, and then instead of like self-destructing or self-destroying himself right then and there, he just leaves, right? So I'm very curious to see what goes on with him if they bring him back in some capacity in the future. I really hope they do. And then the fight between Wanda and Agnes, I liked it. It was enjoyable. The thing is, though, like the whole thing where they introduced a spell and then had it be like the MacGuffin at the end. Basically, it was kind of, it wasn't. It was okay. It was fine. It did what it needed to do. I would have preferred maybe, I don't know, something else where like Agnes couldn't handle her abilities, something like that. But I don't know. That's just me. Also, but that would also be a cliche of like someone absorbing someone else's abilities and then not being able to handle it and then just losing because of that. That's another cliche, I would say as well. So I don't know. They could have done a better job of finding a way to end that battle. My opinion on that matter. Finally, I will say like I'm just going to talk about the ending scene, right? The end credit scene. First, we have Monica going to space. I expected that. I'm pretty sure we already knew that because I'm pretty sure she's going to be in Captain Marvel 3 with Nick Fury potentially and Brie Larson, stuff like that. So I wasn't super duper surprised by that. Then we have the actual surprising moment, which is that Scarlet Witch has the Darkhold and she's teaching herself some magic, I guess. She's projecting herself outside of her body, but she also is able to move around her body, which is something that Stephen Strange could not do. He was able to study in his astral form while sleeping, but Scarlet Witch is just doing things both in the astral plane and physically in her body. So I guess that goes to show that she is more powerful, which is what was stated. But I think it was a cool moment to, one, show her power, but two, not to really end it on like a happy note because she's reading the Book of the Damned, right? And supposedly that book is really dangerous, which I think that's also how Agnes got her abilities as well. So I'm very curious to see if Doctor Strange at some point in the Multiverse of Madness is going to be like, yo, what are you doing? You're reading the worst possible book. And my guess is that this is also the missing book from the Doctor Strange films. This is something that I actually saw in another video. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I think it would be really cool to tie that in, that the Darkhold of all the books is the one that was actually stolen from the Ancient One's vaults. That being said, though, it would be cool to just know that there are other grimoires in existence as well, outside of stuff that the Ancient One just had locked away. I think it would be very, very interesting as well to see that not all power is stored by one group of sorcerers as well. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see as to what exactly they want to do with that. Is that book going to be one of the missing ones in his vault, or is it just going to be another existing grimoire in the world that the Ancient One was never able to get her hands on? Who knows? We'll just have to wait and see on that. And finally, the whole thing where I think Billy is the one that's screaming for his mom, screaming for the Scarlet Witch to go save him. That's going to be really, really cool. I'm guessing, and I'm not going to spoil anything from the comics because I don't really know them too well, but also I haven't read the actual comics for these stories, so I don't actually know. But well, my guess is that Billy and what's the other one's name? I'm blanking on the other one's name. But the twins, they're probably still alive. They just don't have bodies anymore. That's my guess. I think it would be really, really cool that, like, say Wanda actually took existing souls from the world, or like, or I don't know. They could do it such that, like, when Westview was destroyed, their souls were somehow still intact. So they still exist somewhere, potentially like on the astral plane, because that's where she heard them. She was outside for her physical body, or I don't even know if that would be considered the astral plane, but like she was projecting outside of her body. Maybe that's why she could hear them. Who knows? They could do something really, really cool with that. Yeah, it would be really cool to see a family reunion with the twins and White Vision and Wanda. I'm very, very excited to see what happens next, both in Falcon the Winter Soldier, in Loki, in Doctor Strange, all these things. I'm really, really excited to see what comes next, and I think that Marvel did a wonderful job. All the actors in WandaVision did wonderfully, of course. Paul Bettany, Elizabeth Olsen, everyone else, they just did so well in their roles, and I'm really, really happy that this was the first thing that Marvel came out with right off the bat after such a long hiatus. Yeah, let me know your thoughts about WandaVision. Do you all want me to share a couple of reaction videos that I have of certain episodes? I didn't end up reacting to every single episode, and I just haven't had the time to actually piece those together because I'm in the middle of school and stuff like that. Let me know if that's something you're interested in. And I can also try potentially to record myself watching all of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. No promises as to how frequently those will be posted, though. I'm not really sure how much editing time I'm going to have, but in any case, if those are things that you're interested in, please let me know in the comments below. Regardless, also let me know what your thoughts are of this show in general, as well as what shows you're most excited for in the future, as well as what films. And yeah, that's all I have to say for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.